Hey Bibaswan, how's it going, buddy?
Hi Siddharth, all well here. How are you?
I'm great, I'm great. How are things in Bangalore? Things have opened up?
Yes, things have opened up since the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So all the tennis courts are functioning at the moment.
Right,
We are lucky as tennis players that we are able to play. Not
definitely.
all the other sports are uh, they're not functioning as of yet. Only tennis and badminton is functioning at the moment.
Of
So
course.
we are lucky that way.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it's safer to play tennis than to even go out to buy groceries.
Definitely
Right.
agree.
So, all right. So, why don't you tell the audience a bit about yourself and your journey?
So, hi guys, my name is Bibaswan Deb. I am from Bangalore, India, and I'm 29 years old. I've been a professional tennis player, and I'm a professional tennis coach now. So, I coach in TAMS Academy in Bangalore, Whitefield, and I've been working with a lot of professional tennis players for the last 7 years.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, take us through your journey, like your juniors, and why you chose this field.
So started playing tennis at the age of 8, and then I really like the sport because it's an individual sport and it's all about you, and you can put all your energy on court. So I was really interested in the sport, and then at the age of 10, I started winning some tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents were supportive about it, and then I kept playing tournaments, and I was a top junior in India. I was as high as 7 in
Wow.
under 14 and 16 as well,
Mm-hmm.
and I was about 9 or 10 in under 18.
That's incredible.
So
Mm-hmm.
I, I played the ITF Junior Circuit, which is the International Tennis Federation circuit as
Right.
well, and I was about 700. Yeah, but I, I didn't play as many tournaments because tennis is very pocket heavy uh, sport, so you need deep pockets to
Right.
travel around and play a lot of tournaments, especially outside of India.
Right. So,
And the major drawback is that in India there are not many international tournaments, so
yeah,
you only get to play national level tournaments.
totally.
So to to become like the best, you of course have to go out and travel the world and play tournaments. So which I didn't, and slowly I was playing the men's circuit as well,
Mm-hmm.
and slowly I realized, like, okay, maybe it's time for me to give back rather than me chasing my dream,
Right.
because it was very hard
Definitely.
mentally. Yeah, mentally, financially is super hard. So I thought, why not give back to the game and see what we can do uh, to help others, rather than trying to just push myself and finishing myself.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. I mean,
that's
I totally agree. Like, you can only go to a certain stage with, a decent amount of financial resources, and then after that, it's really
yeah,
hard. We really need deep pockets, like, to
absolutely,
travel all over the world. And the thing is, you'll be competing with players who are doing that. So you have to
absolutely,
be
absolutely.
at the same level. Great.
Actually, during this lockdown, a lot of players have come up with this issue,
Mhm.
that they're not able to sustain, and then
Right.
there are a lot of articles about only the top 150 in the world
Right.
making that much money to be able to sustain at that level.
Right,
It's
right.
hard.
So I guess our friend Nikki Punacha got through. I mean, he got elected to represent the Players
Yes,
Council. So that's a great thing.
yes,
So he'll be able to,
yes.
help the.
Ab- Absolutely. I hope that he's a good person. I've met him in person,
Right,
and he I think like he can hear our voices and reach those voices to the ATP or ITF, so that they can make make some impact in the lower level tournaments, the challengers, the ITF pro circuit.
definitely.
So looking forward to that.
I'm sure he will. All right. So, okay. So, take us through what your idea of holistic approach to tennis is.
So I started coaching. So it's been like 7, 8 years now,
Hmm.
and what I mean by holistic approach to tennis is combining all the elements together to bring up an athlete.
Right.
What it means is there are four elements in it. First is the technical element.
Mm-hmm.
The second is the tactical element, the strategical part.
Right.
Third is the physical, the fitness
Mm-hmm.
element, and the fourth element is your mental side of the game. So,
Definitely. Yeah.
uh, what holistic approach means that is that we have to combine all four of these elements in in our practice, daily practice of an athlete to bring up that athlete.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, a lot of times you will see players or coaches, they focus on only one part of the game, like the technical or the tactical or the physical or the mental. So if we can combine all of them and practice this regularly,
Right.
then I have seen that there are more success rates in making athletes, tennis players, than when you're focusing on only one part.
Right.
So
Right, right. And yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of these coaches, I mean, they focus on technique for a lot of time, and then they
yeah.
feel that one day or probably one day a week is enough for probably working on strategy and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So, I mean, definitely, I mean, if they reduce working on the technique and, add more work on strategy or the mental side during everyday practice, then players will definitely improve at a much higher rate. So
So
yeah.
here's my concept about it.
Hmm.
So I mean, I've been with a lot of good coaches. I've been working with Prahlad Srinath. He was in the Davis Cup team, and then
Wow.
I was working with the coach from Netherlands.
Mhm.
He was the head coach of the national team,
Okay.
and uh, several other coaches I've been interacting with. Zishan Ali, he's the current Indian team captain. So
Right.
I've worked with him briefly also,
Hmm.
and I was coached by his dad, Akhtar Ali.
Okay.
So, uh, so all these years of experience, what I have felt is that there has to be a system. So now, what the system is from a young age, when you're young. Suppose you're starting from the age of 5 or 6. So that's when you focus more on the technical part
Right.
without the kids knowing much about it, because that's when they are fresh.
Right.
Okay, that's when it's easy to develop technique for any kind of sport.
Right.
And then, of course, the mental part has to be there at all times. It can't be avoided at any point of time. So whenever you're working on the technique, uh, you have to also work on the mental aspect of the game.
Right.
What it means is that what I mean by mental is being focused, being aware of that moment. So
Hmm.
being present in that moment. So suppose you're doing, just a general example, suppose you're doing 10 catches with the wall. Okay. If you're not aware, you won't be able to catch those
Right.
10 balls. So the coach has to give the student a certain amount of goal to achieve. That,
Right.
okay, you have to hit 10 forehands in a row in the court.
Right.
And of course, the coach will show the technique.
Right.
So this, so this is for the young. So when you start
Hmm.
to about 11, 12, you focus on the mental side, uh, I mean, the technical side with the mental side. Then comes the strategical part,
Right.
you know, more of the strategy. So the strategical part starts from like 9 or 10,
Hmm.
you know. Um, so 10 to, and it of course goes on to, because when you're playing tournaments, of course, you need to work on your strategy.
Right.
So after 12 or 13, you don't focus more on the technique as
Right.
much, you know, until unless like there's a major a technical deficiency which you have to cover up.
Right. Right. Um, Bibaswan, when you talk about holistic approach, is this meant for just the professionals, or I mean, those who want to go pro, or should it be adopted by amateurs as well?
So this approach is for everyone. You know, whoever wants to learn tennis, it's for everyone, because tennis is a sport where you have to always be active with your mind, physically active, and if you're playing, suppose you're playing, of course, when you're learning tennis, you want to play some points and stuff. So when you're playing points, you have to work on the strategy as well.
Right.
So these four elements are there always. You know, if you want to play some kind of points with your friends also, you
Hmm.
know, you have to use these four elements. So it's just not for just not only for pros, it's for everyone.
Great. Great. Okay, so let's get into the technical side. Let's go deeper there. Uh,
Sure.
how important is technique? And talk to talk to us about the biomechanics of tennis.
So uh, the technical part is basically the execution part,
Right.
right? So now when we are playing a point, and I want to hit a good serve uh,
Right.
in the starting of the point. But if I don't have good technique on the serve, and my serve goes for a fault, you know, there can be various reasons. But
Right.
suppose you don't have a good technique on the serve, and you keep hitting faults on your first serve,
Right.
then of course you're going to lose point, and eventually you're going to lose the match, right? Because of your technique on the serve.
Mm-hmm.
Since serve is the most important stroke in the game, because
Definitely.
that's how you start the point, right?
Definitely.
So this is just for the serve, but even if you consider the other parts of the game, so if you are not able to execute
Mm-hmm.
uh, a stroke, and then it becomes very hard,
Right.
especially in today's days, because of the rackets, the strings,
Right.
you know, it's very powerful. So if you don't have proper technique, and then definitely you're going to lose out on a lot of points. And one more thing I want to mention is that if you don't have proper technique, then a lot of times what happens is that you use the wrong muscles.
Mm-hmm.
If you end up using the wrong muscle groups, and then you end up injuring yourself a lot. You
Right.
know.
Right. 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 It need
So
not be at the moment, but probably even 3 or 4 years down the line, that muscle gets used up, and then
yeah,
pain.
yes, absolutely. So basically, bad usage of that muscle group uh, tends, like after a few years, what happens is you overstress that muscles, right, muscle group, and then you tend to injure it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what is biomechanics exactly?
Biomechanics is basically the movement of your body while hitting any kind of stroke.
Okay.
Okay, the way your body should move.
All right.
Suppose for for a forehand, okay,
Right.
I'll give you an example. For a forehand, there are three parts of the forehand.
Mm-hmm.
First part is the preparation part. The
Right.
second part is the contact. The
Mm-hmm.
third part is the follow through.
Follow through. Right.
Okay, so now what biomechanics is how you move your body during the preparation part, then the action, the contact part, and the follow through.
Right.
So it's a detail. It's very detailed. If you have to study about biomechanics, you have to really point out. Okay, this this is what's going on. The kinetic chain.
Right.
Uh, Kinetic chain is basically how your energy flows into the shot.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So have you seen a slingshot?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So what a slingshot does is you pull it,
Right.
all right, and then you gather all the energy, and then you release it.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Then the energy flows.
Right.
Okay, so the same thing happens with our strokes as well,
Mm-hmm.
by using the body. So
Right.
now we need to understand that the racket doesn't do anything, our
Mm-hmm.
body does everything.
Right.
Okay, so if we can apply the right forces from our body and transfer it into good energy into the ball,
Mm-hmm.
then of course it's going to be a effective shot,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Of course.
what it means is, like, if you use your muscle group properly and you can generate that appropriate energy, then you get the maximum amount of outcome of energies, right?
Right. Definitely.
So biomechanics is all about that, like how you can use your muscles efficiently and gain the maximum amount of energy
Mm-hmm.
to transfer that energy into your shots.
All right. So, yeah, I had a question around this. Um, when
Yeah,
you talk about biomechanics, uh,
yeah.
is it like a personalized thing or is it a standardized thing? Will the biomechanics of a tennis shot differ based on their height and weight and their feet movement? And because definitely all players are unique and their styles are different. So, is it like a really
Yep.
personalized thing where everyone has to know their biomechanics specifically, and it's not something that you can just learn, on the internet?
See, no, it's not something which you can learn on the internet, to be honest, because you need an eye for it.
Right.
It's always good to have to have to take an expert opinion on this,
Mhm.
because it is personalized.
Okay.
Why I'll tell you is, um, every individual is different, and every individual has their natural abilities,
Right.
right? And some people are stiff and some people are not stiff,
Right.
which matters a lot in tennis, actually.
Mhm.
Because, again, giving you an example, suppose you're playing a forehand
Right.
and your stiff is stiff.
Right.
Okay, and uh, for the preparation part, you take your racket back,
Hmm.
and you're not able to take your racket back because your torso movement, your torso is stiff, and you're not able to turn.
Right.
So the amount of energy you can produce there is less than someone who is more flexible or has more range of motion. uh, in their torso area. So it that matters differs a lot, from person to person. And
Definitely.
you see is you will see some people have like a huge backswing,
Right.
and some people have a very short backswing. Uh, as long as their contact point is all right,
Right.
it is fine. But I mean, to maximize it, you have to have these, like, there are certain guidelines to it, like to different strokes, like what your range of motion should be
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. So you really have to, like, if you want to go into technique, it's like a very detailed thing. So you need to measure a lot of things, and mm, and it is individualized.
Right, right. I mean, all these concepts I feel have just, been around in India for the last few years. I'm sure many coaches themselves don't know about this, but biomechanics in tennis has been there in tennis for quite a while, right? In Europe and America.
Yeah, of course, it's been there. Just that it, we don't have a system in India. So
Right.
all this, I know about all these things because I have done course in, like, basically I've done USPTR and RPT. USPTR is basically the USTA registered coaching license, and
Mm-hmm.
RPT is the European way of coaching. So I've done this both. So I went through these materials. So I studied more into details, so I know about it. But in the Indian coaching system, I don't think ITF provides so much in details,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest.
Right. So,
And also, and also, I think it's the coach's personal interest in it. You
definitely.
know, uh, so it depends on that a
Definitely,
lot.
definitely. Anyone, I mean, they want to learn more, they find a way
Yeah.
to uh, learn about it, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
depends on them. Um,
Yeah.
can athletes work on the technique outside of the tennis court, like especially during these lockdowns? Everyone's been, I mean,
Yeah.
we know what to do, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You can work on your technique outside of the court, because one way of correcting your technique, if you have any technical issues, one way of correcting is shadow practice.
Right.
I don't know if you have read. Uh, there are a lot of books about it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Winning Ugly is there,
Right.
uh, and there's some other books.
Right.
So if you read all that, and whatever experience, I'm sure you have experience also, that
Right.
shadow practice helps a lot.
Definitely.
You know, so you can shadow your strokes at home.
Mm-hmm.
And one more good thing you can do is you can actually shadow in front of the mirror.
Okay.
So that helps a lot because you're able to see yourself in the mirror.
Right.
Okay, so a lot of times what happens when you're playing, you think that you're hitting a stroke in a certain way,
Right.
but in reality you're not doing that. So that's why actually the coach's eye is important. And and if you can practice that at home with a mirror, you can see yourself, and then you can definitely correct yourself better if you're standing in front of a mirror and doing it.
Right, right, right. So yeah, I mean, I remember this incident where, I used to copy Rafa's technique, and the first time I saw myself on video, I used to always think, when you are playing, you think if you just remember how
Yeah.
Rafa hits his
Yeah.
forehand, and you just try and do that, it appears the same way, and then
Yeah.
you see yourself on video, and you're like, what is this?
Yeah. Yes, yes. I'm a huge Federer fan, so I used to copy him too. And
Right.
then when I saw my videos, I was flabbergasted, and like I was like, "What? This is not even close to Federer, and not even close to my game. What am I doing? I've transformed into someone else."
Yeah. And I'm not sure if you know him, Sharvil Nagre. So I feel he's the only player who I know from my circle who has been able to, pinpoint copy Federer's backhand. It's like I'm not sure if
Wow.
he can play, if you've seen his backhand now, but
No, I don't. I don't
it's crazy. And
know.
anyway, let's touch upon this. Should
Yeah.
players be copying the playing styles of the elite athletes?
See, I mean, it's a personal thing that you like someone,
Hmm.
but does your body work the same way as that player? It's
Right.
as simple as that. Of course, every individual is different, so I mean, you shouldn't be copying someone else's style.
Hmm.
You know, there are some examples like Dimitrov. He
Right.
tried to copy Federer, and he's very successful.
Right.
But not always does it work. You have to see your natural abilities, what you can do and what you can't do.
Right.
Of course, you see your idol. Like, suppose for me, I see my idol Federer,
Hmm.
and then I want to copy his serve, say,
Right.
and I go to the court and try to copy his serve.
Right.
So if I'm not able to do it, then I wouldn't stick to it,
Right.
right? So
Hmm.
a player and a coach also has to see that, okay, is it working for uh, this guy, this person, or not? If it's working, it's good. If it's not working, then no, stop it
Right.
right away. Yeah.
Definitely. And but
You see,
I feel there are a few things. I mean, probably you can. There are some things you can learn from their technique. Don't you think? Like probably their feet movement and the fall.
that comes under the physical part.
Right.
That comes on the more of the physical part.
Hmm.
If you're talking about the posture, you're
Right.
saying, are you talking about the
Yes.
posture?
Yes. Yes. Postures and even their recovery after you know when the opponent
Yeah.
hits the ball to the corner and then their movement basically.
Yeah, so movement comes under the physical side. Of
Right.
course, I would say like 100% look at their footwork, what they're doing and
Right.
how they're recovering, and the timing they're making the split step. It's very important. And the main important thing is, like you said, main important thing to notice about these players is to, like, how quickly are they reaching the ball.
Right.
My God, I mean,
Under-
that's phenomenal. Every time they're there before the ball bounces.
Right.
And how are they able to do it? That's because they're able to read the ball well, then make a good split step, then move to the ball quick enough and prepare themselves.
Right. Definitely.
And
Mm.
and this happens only when they're like physically intense and mentally intense, of course.
Right. So, as you grow older, do you think it's really hard to change techniques that you haven't, let's say, followed the right way? If you have bad technique, do you think it's really hard to change it as you grow older, and why?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Okay, so here I'll give you an example. Uh, you brush every day, right?
Right.
Uh, in the morning, you brush every day. So now, one
I
fine day, I tell you, suppose you brush with your right hand.
Right.
I tell you, Sartha, uh, from tomorrow, you brush with your left. Okay.
Right.
So will it be easy for you to do it every single day after that,
Def-
without
no.
without thinking of, without putting effort from your mind?
Right. No. No. Not a chance.
So what? what will happen is you will probably forget the next day, or probably do it 1 or 2 days and then forget and won't be able to continue,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
and and then it goes away, the habit goes away. So it's very difficult to form an habit after a
Right.
point of time if it becomes a muscle memory.
Right.
Okay, what is muscle memory now? That okay, you suppose I give you an example of catching. So now I ask you to throw the ball at the wall and catch it with your palm. Okay,
Right.
so it becomes a habit for you, right?
Right.
That you're catching with your palms.
Right.
Okay, so now uh, after a while, if I ask you to catch it with the other side of the palm, then it'll be difficult for you.
Right.
Correct? Okay,
Right.
so you're developing a muscle memory of catching the ball with the palms.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, same thing with uh, tennis. Suppose you're playing a forehand. Okay, you are saying that you go from low to high with the racket swing.
Right.
Okay, you develop the habit. Okay, and there's a uh, okay, I'll get a little technical here.
Mm-hmm.
So suppose you say go straight at the ball
Right.
to a kid,
Right.
all right, and that becomes a habit for the kid.
Mm-hmm.
So the kid ends up playing only flat shots because the racket is going straight at the ball,
Right.
all right. So now it's become his muscle memory.
Right.
Now you want him, after a point of time, you want him to develop uh, spin shots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it will be really difficult for the kid to change from that angle to the next angle,
Right.
after certain age, because it's become his muscle memory. Like he only knows how to hit a flat shot. Now I suddenly tell him, okay, hit a spin shot, then
Mm.
he'll be like, oh, how do I do that, you
Right.
know and it's going to be really difficult for the coaches to change that,
Right.
to change, like, so what the coach has to do is, like, he has to erase all the bad memories he has and
Right.
then create new memories, you
Definitely.
know yeah. So after a certain age, your memory is so strong
Right.
that it becomes really difficult to change anything,
Mhm.
you know
Right. So yeah, I mean, when you're mentioning muscle memory and
yeah.
habits, so yeah, I mean, this thought just popped up in my head. So lot of players, at the younger years, their coaches tell them to focus on consistency, and the players take that to heart, and all they do is, I was in fact one of them during my juniors. So uh, keep the ball afloat. Whatever happens, just
Yeah.
keep the ball afloat, and then so there are very few who are able to transition to hitting the ball harder when they get to the men's circuit. So I feel I'm
Yeah.
sure Manish Suresh Kumar.
Yep.
Uh, he used to
Yeah.
just hit the balls up
Yeah.
high, and then and he would never miss a shot. And then as time went by, he was able to make that transition to starting to hit the ball harder and improve
Correct.
his game. So but not many people can do that. Like you stick to your instincts and your habits.
Correct.
So um,
Correct.
that's
Correct.
very important. Okay, let's move on to fitness. What is
Hmm.
tennis specific fitness for the listeners?
So, tennis specific fitness is basically from general fitness, you are uh, improving yourself to more tennis specific fitness, which is uh, based on your strokes. Suppose the way you're moving on the court,
Mm-hmm.
and the like generally suppose okay, I'll give you an example. um, Suppose you're running versus you moving on the tennis court
Right.
is it's slightly different, right? So in the tennis court you have that much area,
Right.
and when you're running you are just like running, suppose you're running 5K, you're just running, correct? But in tennis you're constantly moving side to side, or up and back, and in like quick short sprints.
Right.
So this is what makes it different from general fitness. And
Mm-hmm.
in tennis what happens is like you start, then you sprint, you hit the shot, then you come back, then you run to the ball, hit, come back.
Right.
So you're doing aerobic and anaerobic together.
Mm-hmm.
So when any athlete is training for tennis, then their fitness should be based on aerobic and aerobic mixed together. You know,
Right.
that is more, that is called more tennis specific fitness.
Mm-hmm. Right. And are there different types of fitness people players should do based on the level and age? So let's say you're at the beginners or amateur stage. Should you focus on a specific type of
Yep.
fitness and then move on, or is it always, is there like a certain thing like you have to do endurance, weights, no matter what?
So this is where expert also comes in, uh, where the fitness expert has to analyze.
Right.
There has to be testing protocols. Like every 6 months for for a player, there has to be testing methods, and there should be programs
Mm-hmm.
written for them. Like okay, uh, say a player needs to work on their strength, then according to their age and what kind of uh, strength training they have done in the past, and what kind of weights or therabands they can use. Depending on that, you have to form a program. Again, since tennis is an individual sport, it has to be individualistic.
Right.
Um, so there has to be a testing done every 6 months, and based on that, the expert has to give you a program that okay, this is what you um, going to work on for the coming weeks, coming months,
Right.
and then let's see in 6 months where you stand. And also the coach has to be in touch with the fitness trainer.
Right.
You're telling them okay, this is what my player is lacking on court, so I want help from your side
Mm-hmm.
to for the player to achieve these certain fitness goals.
Right.
This will enhance his tennis performance.
Right. Definitely. So, what I mean, throughout the years, what I've noticed is everyone, like, I mean, in these academies, there's always like, Monday is endurance, Tuesday is, probably reactions or whatever, and everyone's
Hmm.
doing the same thing throughout, and there's no personalization at all. I've hardly seen, any academies doing this. So
Yeah.
it's really important, I feel.
So what we do here is we do a generic fitness
Mm-hmm.
based on, suppose there are 5 players in a
Right.
group,
Right.
all right? So we come up with a fitness plan where we combine all of their performances
Right.
and see what general fitness we can come up with first,
Right.
and whatever individual attention is required.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose someone needs more of endurance, they need to build their stamina,
Right.
then we take them separately and work on their stamina maybe 1 or 2 days a week. You know, if they need to work on their strength, then we work on their strength separately.
Right.
So that's how they work in Europe as well. You
Right.
know, there's a general fitness sessions set for a
Right.
group of people, which they have to do.
Right.
To that's basically your conditioning your body,
Definitely.
and then after that you want to improve certain areas of your
Mhm.
fitness, and you specifically work on those areas.
Right. Yeah, totally. So yeah, just another example is I was talking to Jayesh Pungia the other day, and he's like former number 11 men's player in India, and he was saying that uh, once he joined one of the academies, and their fitness coach actually told him to do 100 push-ups every day, apart from his general fitness, and then his strength and power went up exponentially after a month or
Absolutely.
two. So yeah, this is
Mhm.
really really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you have to put in the extra work. If
right,
you want something extra, you need to put in that extra work.
right.
It's as simple as that.
And the
you know
coaches may not be around for that extra work, so it depends on the player usually. They may not
Absolutely,
guide you.
absolutely. The coaches will give you
Right,
the routine,
right,
and you just have to do it on your own. Maybe
right,
for the first time or the second time, they will show you the exercises and they'll be around you to
right,
correct your form. But then after that, you have to put in that extra effort to take your game fitness game to the next level, which will enhance your tennis performance.
right. I totally agree. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a choice based on what you think is the priority. Should we discuss the mental side of tennis or should we talk about strategy? I know all are equally important, but there's always a
Yeah.
preference.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what do you want to,
Uh,
what do
let's
you want to
let's
talk about?
talk let's talk about strategy.
All right, cool. Um, Talk to us about tennis strategy and some of the types of tennis strategy briefly.
So, basic strategy for when you're playing a tennis match is playing to your opponent's weaker side
Hmm.
and playing to your strengths.
Right,
So, what it means is that when you're playing a match, you see which is your opponent's weakness, which shots are your opponent's weakness,
right,
and you play to those areas. So when you play to those areas, either the opponent makes a mistake or you get an easier ball which you can put away for a winner.
right,
And the second one is playing to your strengths. What it means is you play the ball in a certain area so that the ball comes to your strength area.
right.
So suppose, example, I have a good forehand,
Hmm.
and I want the ball coming to my forehand.
Hmm.
So now, mm, where do I have to place the ball so that the ball comes to my forehand? I have to
Right,
think about that. Usually, suppose when I play a right-hander, if I hit the ball to my opponent's forehand and deep to his to the deuce court,
right.
then most of the times my opponent will hit a cross court,
Hmm.
which so it'll come to my forehand. Me being a righty, it'll come to my forehand.
Right.
So I can use my forehand then to dictate the point
Hmm.
because I like my forehand. So that's how I play with my strength.
Right.
Of course, for you, you're a lefty, so things are going to be slightly different
Hmm.
for you when you're playing righty.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 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 Yeah. So about this, so let's say you're an aggressive baseliner, and
Hmm.
you come across your opponent who doesn't like playing those loopy balls.
Hmm.
So in those situations, do you in those matches? I'm sure Brad Gilbert from the book you mentioned, Winning Ugly, will have a
Hmm.
different opinion,
Yeah.
or may have the same opinion. Would you change your game completely? Would you just start hitting those loopy balls to your opponent to win the match, or would you stick to your game?
See, at that point, like if winning is important to me, I
Right.
will have to figure out a way for myself. So it
Mhm.
comes down to the mental aspect there.
Right.
To be honest, what you choose to do in those moments and being strong.
Right.
Because when you play those loopy players, you
Mhm.
have to have a lot of patience.
Right.
They'll return a lot of balls. You have to look for that right opportunity to go in for that drive volley or that volley. Suddenly you hit a loopy shot, deep loopy shot, and then you go to the net and finish the ball. So
Right.
you have to be very patient and look for those opportunities when you play a player like that.
Mhm.
So you have to be really patient. You have to, of course, alter uh, your game style a little bit.
Right. 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 All right. So, what are some of the timeless strategies that, no matter the surface, no matter the opponent, you should always and you can always follow?
uh, the classic is kick serve to the backhand.
Mm-hmm.
When you hit a kick serve to the backhand, then the ball is quite high on the backhand side, which is
Right.
a really tough shot to hit for the opponent.
Right.
And you can always attack on the uh, next next ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I always used to use that when I was playing, like hit a heavy kick serve on the backhand,
Right.
and then finish on the next ball.
Right.
Either you stay back and like really pound that forehand, or
Mm-hmm.
you can also go to the net. That
Right. Right.
depends on your choice.
Right.
But that works really well, and a lot of players use that in the professional circuit. If you have seen that
Mhm. Right.
high kicker on the backhand,
Right.
that's one effective one. That's because usually the backhand side, it's a little weaker than the forehand side, and on the higher ones it's a really difficult
Mm-hmm.
shot.
Right.
So that is one. And of course, hitting a high ball to the backhand again from the baseline
Right.
to dictate the point.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Right. Yeah.
then you can move your opponent around to tire your opponent out.
Right.
So that is like you can use it in any surface again. And then the fourth one would be taking your opponent out of the court so that you create an open space on the other side and play the ball to the other side.
Of course. Yeah. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Serve and
And
volley.
of
Yeah.
course, serve and volley. Yes, serve and volley. I was just gonna say
Mm-hmm.
serve and volley. Yes, serve and volley. You like you can use it as a surprise. Nowadays, because of the courts and the balls becoming heavy, people you don't see people serve and bowling as much.
Right.
But you can always use that as a surprise to hassle your opponent and get the point. You know?
Definitely. Definitely. Okay. Now, how important is the mental side of tennis?
Mental side is 99% of the game.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In any sport, the mental side is super important.
Right.
If what lot of times it is taken in a bad way actually.
Mm-hmm.
When we say mental, kids get like, okay, mentally, are you saying that I'm crazy on court?
Right. Right. Right.
you know yeah, so they take it in a very wrong sense.
Right.
But what it actually means is that you need to be aware on the court. You need to
Right.
be present at the moment. What happens is, like, when you're on court, your mind just goes here and there thinking about different things.
Right.
Or you see someone walking around and your mind goes there, or someone says something, your mind is just there. Or you lose a point and then you're thinking about, what my parents are going to say if I lose this match.
Right.
you know so keeping your mind in the moment, thinking about the point in hand,
Mm-hmm.
is very, very important. And that is the mental side. Not letting other things peep into your head while you're playing points.
Right. Right. So, what do you suggest they do? Do you tell your players to meditate, visualize, yoga?
Yeah, so suppose a player is not able to keep their mind for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually suggest them to like take a candle and focus uh, into the flame for a long period of time, so that their focus level goes up. You
Right.
know,
Yeah. So
and
better.
yes, so that builds the patience in them,
Right.
and also the endurance of the eye.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, what I have seen is that the players get distracted very easily.
Right.
So what I tell them to do is meditate. So closing their eyes,
Right.
and when they close their eyes, they have to manage their thoughts. So they can think about anything, but it has to be a particular thing,
Mm-hmm.
and whenever it goes away, it distracts away from that specific point.
Right.
They have to bring their mind back.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So these are different techniques I use, and there are actually a lot of different meditation for different forms of meditations, uh, which is used for a lot of various things.
Yeah.
So I tell them, okay, this is what is required for you. This is what is required for you. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. During bad
You
phases.
asked about. You asked. Sorry to cut you. You asked about visualization.
Yeah. You can talk a bit about that as well.
Yeah. Yes. So visualization is something which is not like we don't do it very often in India.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have seen Michael Phelps films. Uh, he on YouTube.
Yeah.
There are
Very
a lot of videos about Michael Phelps
right.
saying that he used to imagine his
I'm on the clock.
swimming, like yeah if he is swimming 100 meters sprints,
Right.
so he would visualize all of that 100 meters,
Right.
you know. And here we don't do it often, but I do it with some kids.
Mm-hmm.
So what I usually do is when they start the point,
Right.
okay, I tell them to uh, visualize the serve and the first ball, which is very important.
Right.
So that is about it. But visualizing at home, um, those I'm not. I haven't gone deep into it. There are people, experts who do it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's really helpful uh, for tennis. I mean, there are some benefits, but it's more helpful for people who are doing long distance.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. So even I mean, like when you mentioned long distance, even I've heard stories where the F1 drivers before the race they spend a lot of time just holding a
Yeah,
dummy wheel, no, not wheel, holding a dummy steering wheel and just
yeah,
visualizing the whole race in their mind.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
definitely a huge concept to look
yeah,
into. I feel.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the only thing is in tennis, when you're playing against the opponents,
right,
so it's you can't predict.
predict,
So
right,
you can only predict where you're going to serve and where the first ball
right,
is going to come.
definitely.
So which you can practice. But
Mhm.
other than that, it's hard to practice
Mhm.
what your opponent is gonna hit. It's
Right.
hard to predict. So
Understandable.
it's hard to visualize the whole match.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can probably visualize just the things you're in control of, your movement, your
Yep.
reactions on court when you make a mistake, just your techniques, probably. Yeah, that's something.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So I was talking about players when they go through a bad phase. How do they mentally work to try and stay confident?
Mm. When they go to a bad phase, okay,
Yeah.
I think parents
Hmm.
support is very very important. The people around the player is very very important to
Right.
keep him motivated, keep him or her motivated. You know, that's very important. You
Hmm.
know, it's mainly the motivation, to be honest, because you will hit rough patches, but you need people around you supporting you.
Right.
That,
Definitely.
that is a key. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we say tennis is an individual game, yeah, you have to do whatever it is, whatever it takes from your end. But then there's a lot of external factors like the environment that is so crucial. All right.
Hello,
Yeah.
hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, I missed out your question.
No. We're basically done. So um, one second. Now. Let I'll just edit this part out. Okay. So. Bro, I'll just say thanks and stuff because we are basically done. Okay, so I'll be editing this part out anyway.
Sure, sure, sure.
Right. So, Bibaswan, thank you very much for spending your time and guiding us through this whole holistic process, the holistic approach to tennis. It was an incredible eye opener, and thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thanks for having me in your show. It was really nice talking to you, and it was really nice sharing all the experiences I've had in my tennis journey and my coaching journey. So thanks for this opportunity.
Great. Yeah, thank you as well. Why don't you tell us now about your academy and where people can find you?
So, our academy is called TAMS. TAMS stands for Tennis and More Sporting.
Mm-hmm.
It's We are based in Whitefield in Bangalore,
Okay.
and we operate all 7 days.
Okay.
So there's no off. Just that we are off on Sunday evenings.
Okay.
We we have a pro batch which runs through the day, it starts from 8 in the morning to 11,
Mm-hmm.
and then start again at 3 o'clock, and we go until till 5. And then we have other batches from 3:30 in the evening to 6:30, 6:45 in the evening.
All right.
We
Amazing.
also have a fitness trainer
Mm-hmm.
coming in on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he does the general fitness,
Right.
and for the professional players, I do the tennis specific fitness in the morning, which is from 8 to 9.
Wonderful. And
And
yeah.
we have a website. It's called tams.in,
Right.
www.tams.in, and I have a social media page, bibaswan.tennisfit, so you can reach out
Is this
um,
on
for me.
Instagram or Facebook?
Facebook, we have Bibaswan Deb, and TAMS also has a page of
Okay.
its own.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
So I'll share these on the show notes. So anyone who wants to get in touch with you or wants to join your academy, please do so. And Bibaswan, do you also take virtual, counseling?
so yes, I was going to talk about that. So I do online consultation as well. So
Okay.
if you have any queries about your tennis journeys, but if you have any tennis related questions, you can always send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram, and we can take it forward from there.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So great. So Vibaswan, we're looking forward to having you back with us soon to discuss some other topics as well. So hope you can
Definitely.
join us again.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you for so much for having me on your show, Siddharth. It
Thank
was
you.
really nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Take care, buddy.
You too.